So I will do the verse 4, chapter 8, and then I will speak a little bit about his arrival and read you some of the excerpts from his diary and prayers and poems that he has written. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Devin Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udir Dayat. Feel free to chant along. Naishta Preshu Adreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisati. And a new one. Sabai Pumsam Paro Namo Yato Bhaktir Hosate Ahutariya Bharti Hata Yayatmas Parsasitati. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, status quo, chapter 9, Brahma's prayers, praise for creative energy, text 4, Tad, Idam, Bhuvana, Mangala, Mangalaya, Tadvaidam Bhuvana, Mangala, Mangalaya, Nane, Sma, No, Darshitam, Tat, Upashakanam, Danes Mano Darsitam Na Upasakanam, Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Nuvidima Tubhyam, Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Nuvidima Tubhyam. Yonatrito Naraka Bhagavir Asad Prasangai Yonatrito Naraka Bhagavir Asad Prasangai. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya. Tadva idam bhuvana mangalaya. Danes mano darshitam na upasakanam. Danes mano darshitam na upasakanam. Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite madhubhyam. Yonadrito Naraka Bhavirasa Prasangai. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya. Danes mano darsitam ta upasakanam. Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite madhubhyam. Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite madhubhyam. Yonandrito naraka bhavirasat prasangai. Yonandrito naraka bhavirasat prasangai. Tadva idam bhuvana mangala
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Janesmano darshitam asakanam.
Janesmano darshitam upasakanam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai.
Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai. Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya. Janesmano darshitam tat upasakanam. Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam. Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai.
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Janesmano darshitam ta upasakanam.
Janesmano darshitam ta upasakanam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai.
Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai.
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Tattva idam bhuvana mangala mangalaya.
Janesmano darshitam ta upasakanam.
Janesmano darshitam ta upasakanam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Tasmai namo bhagavate nuvite matubhyam.
Yo nadrito narakapagvira satprasangai. No books? I don't have books. Oh, sorry. I don't have computer working. Tat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna.
Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna.
God, or Idam, this present form, Bhuvana Mangala, O you who are all auspicious for all the universes, Mangalaya, for the sake of all prosperity, Jnane, in meditation, Sma, as it were, Na, unto us, Darshitam, manifested, Te, your, Upasakanam, of the devotees, Tasmai, unto him, Namaha, my respectful obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead, Anuvihema, I performed, Tubhyam, unto you, Ya, which, Anadrita, is neglected, Narakavagavir, by persons destined for hell, Asat Prasangai, by material topics. Purport, translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. This
form or any transcendental form expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes. Since you have manifested this eternal personal form upon whom your devotees meditate, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. Please repeat. This present form, or any transcendental form, expanded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is equally auspicious for all the universes. Since you have manifested this eternal personal form, upon whom your devotees meditate, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell, neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. Regarding the personal and impersonal features of the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personal forms exhibited by the Lord in his different plenary expansion are all for the benefit of all the universes. The personal form of the Lord is also worshipped in the meditation as Supersoul, Paramatma, but the impersonal Brahmajyoti is not worshipped. Persons who are addicted to the impersonal feature of the Lord, whether in meditation or otherwise, are all pilgrims to hell, because, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 12:5, impersonalists simply waste their time in mundane mental speculation, because they are addicted more to false arguments than to reality. Therefore, the association of the impersonalists is condemned herewith by Brahma. All the plenary expansions of the personality of Godhead are equally potent, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 546. Deepa Chireva Hida Satanam Akupeja Deepayate Vimitahi Jusmanana Dharma Yasta Prideva Nichat Vishnu Daya Vipati Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The Lord expands himself as the flames of a fire expand one after the other. Although the original flame, or Shri Krishna, is accepted as Govinda, the Supreme Person, all other expansions, such as Rama, Nrsimha, and Varaha, are as potent as the original Lord. All such expanded forms are transcendental. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is made clear that the Supreme Truth is eternally uncontaminated by material touch. There's no jugglery of words and activities in the transcendental kingdom of the Lord. All the Lord's forms are transcendental, and such manifestations are ever identical. The particular form of the Lord exhibited to a devotee is not mundane, even though the devotee may retain material desire, nor is it manifest under the influence of material energy, as is foolishly considered by the impersonalists. Impersonalists who consider the transcendental form of the Lord to be products of the material world are surely destined for hell. Om Ganadharandasya Jananjana Salakaya Chakshundilikanyena Tasmai Shri Hare Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovitam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Smayam Rupa Gadanmayam Danakti Parantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Chigapati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindapani Shri Vishwanu Sute Devi Pranamani Haripriye Vanchakapatruvyascha Kripasindhuvyavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this particular section, Lord Brahma is offering prayers to glorify the personal form of the Lord. And we've discussed, it seems to be an ongoing beautiful discussion about the value of prayers. It's so significant feature, a part of a devotee's life. And it's not just a part of our material lives, it's a part of our eternal lives. Because we'll see throughout the Bhagavatam, throughout so many literatures, and we see the great acharyas writing beautiful prayers. Because the prayers are liberating in themselves. We cannot attain anything without the mercy of the Lord or the mercy of his pure devotee. And Giriraj told this sweet story about something Srila Prabhupada said. He said, Srila Prabhupada was talking about how Krishna, just like a big company, has his representatives that he sends out. And a company, when they send out the representative goes and makes arrangements with different companies, persons to buy products. And sometimes they negotiate, and they may give them 20% off, 30% off. And the company has to stick by these arrangements by the representative. And so similarly, Krishna has to stick by his devotees' arrangements. And so Srila Prabhupada has made such a great deal for us. And Srila Prabhupada said, even if Krishna doesn't like the deal, he has to stick with it. So he's given us such a great deal to go back to Godhead. When we pray, there's nothing material about our prayers. So there shouldn't be anything material about our prayers. We shouldn't be praying for any kind of benefit or benediction or wealth or comfort or material happiness. We should be praying for surrender. We should be praying for understanding, for enlightenment. We should be praying for humility, for tolerance, for pure devotional service. And Brahma made a lot of advancement at this point. You know, when he was first appeared in this lotus, and it was practically mental speculation. Should I go here? Should I go there? Should I climb down into the lotus and find out who I am, what I'm doing? And he heard that word, tapa, penance, austerity. And he understood, because of his advanced being, that he must sit down and do some meditation. And this is the result of that meditation. He's now seeing the form of the Lord. And so in this verse, it's emphasized that any form of the Lord is transcendental and equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead's original form, Shri Krishna, Govinda. And so, and it's interesting when you look at all the different forms that Krishna took. When you look at all his different forms, they're all so amazing and so perfect. When you look at the Shringadev, it was half man, half lion. There was no benediction from Brahma that he wouldn't be killed by a half man, half lion. He used his nails. There were no weapons used. Hiranyakasipu was protected from all these weapons. And Vamana was such an amazing incarnation of Krishna, is that he was a sweet, gentle, little Brahmin. So delicate, so beautiful, that when anyone saw him, they immediately became overwhelmed with love. Bali's sister, who was a demon, she saw Vamana and she immediately wanted to be his mother. That was her desire. Until, of course, Vamana Bali in chains and dragged him off. Then she wanted to kill him. So she got the benediction of coming back as Putanai. So these forms are all perfect, and they're all perfect for the devotees to be relieved of this material world. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, his reasons for coming, paritranaya sadhunam, vinyasaya shajuskritam dharma samsartanaitarya sambhavami yuge yuge, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. This is all from his internal potency. There's nothing material or tainted about it. The personal form of the Lord is also worshipped in the meditation of Supersoul. And this is, as we saw from the life of Dhruva Maharaj, how perfect and wonderful his meditation was on Supersoul. But the impersonal Brahma Jyoti meditation on that is not worship. And if we look at the definitions of worship, the feeling of expression of reverence and adoration for a deity, the arts or rites that make a formal expression of reverence for a deity, adoration or devotion comparable to religious homage given towards a person of merit. There cannot be that in meditation on the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. The Brahma Jyoti in personal meditation is not worship. It's what they want to become. And you can't worship what you want to become. There's no features, there's no personality, there are no qualities, no homage. It's inappropriate. And so Brahma, he says, those who are destined to be dispatched to the path of hell neglect your personal form because of speculating on material topics. And that the Bhagavad Gita 12:5, Krishna was much gentler as his description to the impersonalists. He said, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested personal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. He was very gentle with them there. But earlier he says, but those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Rita, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So Brahma is about to create the universe. And he's acknowledged that the universe is also a path to hell for living entities, depending on their mentality. And so he's actually exhibiting a bit of compassion here. So that, and he's pointing out that Krishna is so merciful. He appears, yadi yadi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata abhutanam dharmasya tatatmanam samjamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in the religious practice of descended birth and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So unless one has the proper psychological and philosophical attitudes, their destiny is not very positive. There are two types of persons that are described in this material, the divine and the demoniac. There's not a middle class. So we're so fortunate. So even though, it says here, even though the devotee may retain material desires, still the Lord is not tainted. His potency is not diminished in any way. And we're so fortunate we have the name, we have the most merciful form of the Lord as Lord Chaitanya in the Panchatattva before us. We have the Srimad Bhagawatam, and we have the Shaktavadesh Avatar, Srila Prabhupada. And so we're so fortunate we have all these different manifestations of the Supreme Lord to guide us back to home, back to Godhead. And so, oh good, we have plenty of time. And to talk about Srila Prabhupada's journey to the United States. This is a very significant day for us. Without this trip he took, it was not an easy journey, we would not be here today. None of us would be here today. This temple wouldn't be here. Prashad wouldn't be here. Nothing would be here. It would be a hellhole. And from the moment Srila Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he took that instruction. It was just a simple little instruction. Why don't you young men go to the West and preach the message of Lord Chaitanya? He took that in his heart. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta didn't give him a book, a rule book of how to do this. Srila Prabhupada just took it so seriously in his heart. It was his main meditation. So after years of preparation, after almost 40 years of preparation, he boarded a steam cargo ship called the Jaladuta. And he was given passage by this wonderful lady, Srimati Moraji. She was also an elder lady who owned the shipping company. But her and everyone else warned Srila Prabhupada, don't go to America. It's so degraded. There's nothing for you to eat there. There's no vegetables. They only eat meat. Don't go to America. They're militias. They're degraded. But Srila Prabhupada, no, that message, that instruction from his guru was firmly centered in his heart. And that was his mission, was to spread the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. He was 69 years old when he entered that, when he boarded that ship. He only had 40 rupees in his pocket. That's a little over $6. It's nothing. He brought a little food because he didn't know what there would be. He brought some cereal. He brought his books, trunks of his books. And he boarded that ship with all faith and confidence in the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And soon after he boarded, he got very, very ill with seasickness. Has anyone here had seasickness? Yeah, it's no fun. It's just like the worst kind of flu. And then he was feeling a little better. He even at one point got off the ship, and then he came back on, and the ship then entered the Red Sea, where Srila Prabhupada encountered great difficulty. In his diary, he wrote rain, seasickness, dizziness, headache, no appetite, vomiting. The symptoms persisted, but it was more than seasickness. The pains in his chest made him think he would die at any moment. In 2 days, he suffered 2 heart attacks. He tolerated the difficulty, meditating on the purpose of his mission. But after 2 days of such violent attacks, he thought that if another were to come, he would certainly not survive. And then that night he had a dream. And he saw Lord Krishna in his many forms rowing a boat and beckoning Srila Prabhupada should come along. And Prabhupada felt assured that Lord Krishna's protection was there, and the violent attacks did not occur again. And then on the 10th of September, Srila Prabhupada wrote, "Today the ship is plying very smoothly. I feel better today, but I am feeling separation from Vrindavan and my lords Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Radha Damodar. My only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharat Bhumi just to execute the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but have taken up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy. so far away from Vrindavan. He could have stayed in Vrindavan. He was very happy in Vrindavan. He was very much loved in Vrindavan. And then later on, he wrote, he went out to the Atlantic Ocean and he wrote, the Atlantic Ocean is usually very rough. And the captain agreed. If the Atlantic Ocean would have shown its usual face, perhaps I would have died. But Lord Krishna has taken charge of the ship. So then, from the 13th of September on to the 18th, he wrote several different excerpts. Some were prayers, some were poems. And so I'm going to read you. These are quite moving, quite beautiful. And there was this one poem that he wrote. It was in Bengali, so this is the translation. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. And then, I think the next step, guys, is not about that. He wrote in another time, my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after the other, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? This was a prayer, it's from the Srimad Bhagawatam, from Sri Prahlad. And then he wrote to Krishna, oh dear friend, in your company I will experience great joy once again. In the early morning I will wander about the covered pastures and fields, running and frolicking in the many forests of Raj. I will roll on the ground in spiritual ecstasy. Oh, when will that day be mine? Today, that remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way. Because I have a great longing, I call to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much. Oh, Lord Krishna, except for you, there is no other means for success. And then they arrived on the 17th in Boston, and they arrived at the Commonwealth Boston Pier, and he boarded the ship with the captain. They went around and looked at the city. Now you all know what an area of docks are like. They're very low and dirty and full of bars and not such nice people. And so this was Prabhupada's first introduction to America. And when he came back, because he wasn't leaving in Boston, he was actually leaving in New York. So when they came back to the ship, he wrote this poem. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me, but I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva Krishna. I do not know how they will be able to understand it, but I know that your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service, O Lord? I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure, as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. Oh Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. On board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18 September 1965. And so from there they went to New York, and he left the boat thinking he would be returning in about 2 months. And he didn't know, as he said, he didn't know whether he was going right or left. But he left, and he depended completely on Krishna. This day is an auspicious day. We can pray. Prabhupada explains these are like portals to the spiritual sky. We can pray for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We can pray the mercy that we get just a fraction of his dedication to his spiritual master, that we have that kind of dedication to our spiritual master. So I'll end here. Jaya, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any other comments?
It sounds like impersonalists are in a worse position than atheists.
I need to speak loudly, huh?
Is it sensible to say that impersonalists are in a less favorable position than atheists?
I would say that would be quite a fair statement. Yeah, impersonalists are definitely, they end up in the same place the demons who are killed by Krishna end up. And atheists, you know, they say there are no atheists in foxholes. A lot of people claim to be atheists, but when they find themselves in some challenging difficulty, suddenly they find religion. Because when we're really helpless, we'll turn towards Krishna.